Welcome to We Win New. In this video, you will witness an Air India Boeing 787 crash just minutes after takeoff and the tragic aviation that shocked the world. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories about the sky in the next episode. Let's get started. On June the 12th, 2025, Air India Flight AI171, a Boeing 787, bound for London Gatwick, crashed into the Meghani Nagar residential area near Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport in Ahmedabad, India, just minutes after departing. The aircraft, carrying 244 occupants, 232 passengers and 12 crew, issued a Mayday call shortly after takeoff, reached a maximum altitude of around 625 feet, then lost contact and plummeted into a nearby neighborhood, igniting a massive fireball and generating thick black smoke that was visible across the area. Emergency services were dispatched immediately with roads sealed off and green corridors established to facilitate relief operations. On August 5, 2017, a United States Marine Corps MV-22 Osprey took off from the amphibious assault ship USS Bonhomme Richard and headed for the USS Green Bay as part of an exercise. The North American XB-70 was an extraordinary and groundbreaking aircraft, designed during the Cold War era to cruise at speeds exceeding Mach 3 at altitudes above 70,000 feet, pushing the boundaries of aviation technology at the time. On June 11, 2017, in northeastern France, a vintage Spitfire flipped dramatically during its takeoff roll at an air show, ending up inverted just a few meters from the crowd. In the span of a few hours on June 2025, nearly a third of Moscow's strategic bomber fleet was destroyed or damaged, with cheaply made drones sneaking into Russian territory. On 22 March 2021, an aircraft carrying a senator and two others made a forced belly landing at Ji-Parana Aerodrome in Brazil after its landing gear failed to extend. Both the normal and emergency systems were inoperative, and the aircraft slid along the runway for approximately 300 meters before coming to a stop. On August 2, 2023, a private seaplane crashed in Russia's northern Krasnoyarsk region near the banks of the Dudinka River. Responders extinguished the fire.
Ёб твою мать!
On July 24, 1993, two Russian jets crashed at an air display in Gloucester. The single-seat MiG-29 fighters collided in front of a crowd of 250,000 people at Fairford, near Swindon. A small plane made an emergency landing in Canarana, Brazil, after an electrical failure. The incident occurred on a farm and all occupants are fine. Part of the fuselage of the plane was damaged as well as the propellers. On 21 June 1997, during the Slovak International Air Display held at Bratislava Airport, a Russian Knights Sukhoi Su-27 flanker arrived with its landing gear retracted and performed an emergency nose wheel up touchdown during its arrival sequence. Fortunately, touching down without injuries to the pilot, an incident that briefly closed the runway and left only minor damage to the aircraft. On 10 February 2025, a private twin commander made an emergency belly landing at Sorokaba State Airport without deploying its landing gear due to a malfunction. All 4 occupants aboard escaped without injury.
Ебать! Пиздец, развалился нахуй! Ебать! Пиздец!
On October 5, 1991, during deck trials aboard the Soviet aircraft carrier Admiral Gorshkov, test pilot attempted a vertical landing in the Yakovlev Yak-141. Due to a combination of strong crosswinds, the deck's limited area, and excessive descent speed, the undercarriage impacted the stern, rupturing a fuel tank and igniting a serious fire. Today, that same airframe is exhibited at the Yakovlev Museum, repaired in the 1992 olive grey livery with 141 markings. During the Hoover maneuver, one of the planes loses engine power and the pilot ejects mid-air just before the jet crashes. The crash was caused by engine airflow disruption, and exhaust from one plane was sucked into the other's intake, leading to catastrophic engine failure. Experience the adrenaline-pumping, gut-wrenching takeoff of the C-17 military transport in this incredible 2013 demonstration video, where the massive aircraft performs a seemingly vertical climb that defies expectations for such a heavy airfort. The V-22 Osprey's massive flight-adverse rotary tension causes the English eco-electric F-1 Lightning to brake. Luckily, F-1 pilot who was completing his tethered-in-flight training was unharmed. In a tense moment over the Baltic Sea, a Russian fighter jet executed a risky maneuver by flying dangerously close to a Swedish Saab JAS-39 Gripen during a routine NATO patrol. On June 1, 2008, during an air show in Lake Bracciano, an Italian army helicopter was in the final stage of its display when a dramatic miscalculation occurred. As the aircraft performed a low-altitude feeler maneuver, it descended too steeply, struck the lake's surface with its fuselage and tail rotor.
Oddio, raga.
The arrival of the V-22 Osprey at Clove Lakes Park caused unexpected chaos as the aircraft's massive tilt rotors unleashed a torrent of wind, snapping tree branches, drawing the attention of onlookers and aviation enthusiasts. The Spitfire airplane executes a full 360-degree maneuver high in the sky, but as the pilot loses control mid-flight, the aircraft spirals downward uncontrollably and crashes violently into the ground, triggering a massive explosion. A Mi-26 military transport helicopter operated by the Border Service of the Federal Security Service of Russia collided with a lighting mast at Yakutsk Airport on July 27, 2023. A dramatic takeoff from Greece's Skiathos Airport, known for its extremely short runway and proximity to a public road just meters from the runway threshold, captivated startled tourists alike as a jet roared down the tarmac, buffeting onlookers standing behind the fence by intense jet blast. According to reports, the tail of the aircraft opened 30 minutes after takeoff. The band was returning from a show in São Luís, Brazil. The plane returned to Hugo da Cunha Machado Airport in an emergency landing. The crew and passengers were rescued. Footage showed the fall of a fire department helicopter in Vicente Pires, Brazil. The aircraft was headed to the courtyard of a college to respond to an incident. Fortunately, none of the occupants suffered serious injuries. The aircraft, frequently used for medical care, is about 12 years old. During a Russian air show, the Mi-8 helicopter pilots amused the crowd with a surprise. Instead of dropping the usual flares or supplies, they released a cascade of stuffed animals, turning a serious military demonstration into a light-hearted spectacle. The small plane that crashed into the pool of a resort on the shores of Lake Furnace, Brazil on February 20, 2021 presented mechanical failure shortly after taking off from an airport in the same region. It is possible to hear the engine choking and stopping working, with fright from the cameraman. The 3 crew members were rescued and were not seriously injured. On 21 October 2016, an Airbus cargo jet, flight from Sao Paulo, suffered a nose gear collapse during its landing rollout at Recife Guararapes Gilberto Freire International Airport, following a landing gear asymmetry caused by one engine advancing into reverse while the other remained at idle, which led the aircraft to veer off the runway, exit onto soft ground, and have its nose gear buckle. Great landing. The FB-11 speed brake is under the aircraft, just behind the main gear, and with the tail hook down, that would have pulled her down and shortened the landing skid. On June 30, 2012, a jet aircraft crashed while executing an aerial maneuver during the Klerksdorp Air Show, South Africa. The aircraft burst into flames on impact. The Belarusian Air Force Sukhoi Su-27 crashed during the Air Show 2009 at Radom Air Base, Poland. The Air Show 2009 dynamic display was immediately cancelled. Watch the powerful jet blast of a departing aircraft at the famous Maho Beach in St. Martin. The wing of a RANS X-9 Chaos broke off during an airshow routine in Argentina. Because it was equipped with a ballistic recovery system's full-plane parachute system, the pilot survived uninjured. On September 10, 2011, it was a demonstration flight of a Boeing Stearman, which unfortunately did not go as planned. Luckily, the pilot was fine. That was a smoother landing under emergency conditions than a lot of pilots could perform normally. An aerobatic plane crashed during an exercise at Guatemala Aero Club in Iztapa. Approximately 5 minutes into the performance, the engine lost power. The airplane impacted terrain adjacent to the runway and a post-impact fire ensued. Biplane crashed while performing at the air show in Cameron, Missouri. The plane entered a spin and descended into a grove of trees before partially recovering. During strong crosswinds, a commercial aircraft attempted to land but experienced a hard touchdown that caused the plane to bounce sharply off the runway, prompting the pilots to initiate an immediate go-around maneuver.
We will receive further information.
Jesus Christ.
Technically, what the pilot did was correct, just sadly a little too late. On August 31, 2016, a Beech A-36 swerved off the runway and impacted a hangar during an attempted takeoff from Bentonville Municipal Airport, Arkansas. A student pilot failed to maintain helicopter control while maneuvering to land, which resulted in impact with an airplane and a hangar at Independence Municipal Airport, Kansas. The pilot walked away, so I guess this is a good landing. What do you think? In 1989, an aeroplane crashed in Linköping, Sweden. The pilot survived. It was filmed by a TV crew reporting on the jet's development. A small aeroplane crashed next to North Perry Airport in Pembroke Pines, Florida. The flames spread in a streak of fire across the street, burning up spilled fuel. Pilot performs perfect emergency belly landing at the Goodyear Airport in Arizona. There was an issue with the landing gear. A small plane crashed into a Fort Lauderdale therapy center for children with autism on December 1, 2018. Teachers safely evacuated the children. A Turkish Air Force F-4 Phantom saves itself from hitting the ground with only a few inches in 2025 Cyprus Techno Fest. During an air show, one helicopter of the Colombian military gets his tail cut off by another one, goes up in flames and hits the ground. The aircraft crashed at Kudinovo airfield. Following a steep climb, the pilot attempted a barrel roll time maneuver, during which he lost control of the aircraft.
Hey. I'm moving. I'm not walking. Yeah.
The pilot handled the emergency landing like a pro. Good, he is safe. In March 2022, while supporting operations for US Air Forces Europe, the pilot experienced an incident during takeoff. Once it came to a stop, the pilot raised the canopy and safely egressed. The plane burst into flames on Interstate 75 at mile marker 105 near Naples, Florida. The aircraft was on approach to Naples Airport when the crew radioed that they had lost both engines and were not able to make it to the runway.
And it's hot going right by it.
A boat was hit by a float plane taking off in Vancouver's Cole Harbour. It has raised concerns about boats and float planes operating in the same waters during tourist season. A Cessna 152 was forced to make an emergency landing after experiencing technical difficulties mid-flight. A twin-engine plane returning to Shoreham Airport from France with 4 persons aboard is forced to land with the starboard wheel not locked down. A camera crew filming a fishing video suddenly shifts their attention to a sputtering single-engine plane that's losing altitude fast. A heart-stopping video shows a small plane crash landing in Boca Raton and just barely missing a worker on the ground. On September 27, 2018, a Dassault Falcon 50 was involved in a runway excursion accident at Greenville Downtown Airport, Greenville, South Carolina. The plane crashed in Russia while it was landing. In 2016, Emirates Flight 521 crashed in Dubai. The report pointed to crew actions, noting breach of standard operating procedure during maneuver. All passengers are safe. Watch the pilot successfully pulled off an emergency belly landing.
That was scary. Actually, I'm going to... Hold on. The other way.
Student pilot does an amazing job landing with only 2 wheels in Scottsdale. On June 28, 2013, 2 airplanes collided mid-air while on final approach to landing at the Johnson Creek Airport, Yellow Pine, Idaho. Both pilots were not adequately monitoring other aircraft position reports while in the pattern.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Pilot crashed during first solo flight. Fortunately, the only thing harmed in this crash was the pilot's ego. A plane skidded off a runway and crashed at Istanbul's Sabiha Gökçen Airport, Turkey. It overshot the runway and then dropped about 98 to 131 feet. Have you ever seen a low-flying helicopter like that?
Вообще колесами, да?
A Cessna overran the runway Key West Airport, Florida, USA, and came to a stop in the Engineered Materials Arresting System zone. is here. Don't forget to give us a like button and share your road encounters in the comments. And don't miss the video on the right side of the screen. See you soon.